The single biggest thing holding you back is not your resources, your circumstances, or your opportunities. It's this: your self-image. Whether you knew it or not, you are literally trapped inside a prison of your own making, and the walls of that prison are built from the stories that you tell yourself about who you are and who you are not. Most people are trying to change their life by changing their actions. They're trying to wake up earlier, make more money, get in better shape, build better relationships, but they keep falling back into the same patterns over and over and over again, and they don't quite know why. And look, I've been there myself, so I totally understand. And the real reason that you can't stick to your goals or create lasting change has nothing to do with your willpower, with your discipline, or with your motivation. It comes down to your self-image, and when we change this one thing, everything else in our life begins to change. There's a fundamental principle in psychology: being precedes doing. What this means is simple, but it's profound. You do things that match who you think you are. Your self-image, the person that you believe yourself to be, dictates the actions that you take or don't take. Every single thing in your life, from your bank account to your relationships to your health, is just a reflection of what you've done. It's a direct manifestation of who you believe yourself to be. Everything in your life, your bank account, your relationships, your health, your happiness, are a direct reflection of who you believe yourself to be. Understanding this one principle is the master key to unlocking any change or result that you want in your life. If you don't upgrade your self-image, you're going to be spending the rest of your life wondering why you keep falling short of your goals. You'll spend your entire life fighting against yourself, trapped in this endless cycle where you make some progress for maybe a few days, few weeks, or few months, but then you self-sabotage yourself backwards and you fall back to where you started. And the whole time you'll be wondering why everyone else seems to have their shit together while you struggle with the same basic habits. You'll keep buying more courses, reading more books, watching more videos, and setting new goals or resolutions, only to find yourself right back to where you started, more frustrated than ever. And the worst part, you'll watch other people with seemingly fewer advantages to you surpassing you while you remain the same. And self-image is not just about achieving more, although we all want to achieve more. It's about breaking free from an invisible prison that you didn't even know you were in, and that's stopping you from becoming who you're meant to be, or who you could be at the very least. Now, I've spent years, about 10, 11 years now, studying psychology and studying transformation in general. And in that time period, I've helped myself and over 100 different students transform by breaking through the limiting self-image that was keeping them stuck at a level of results that they did not want. And in the process, helping them get results that they never thought was possible. Again, including myself. I was my first test subject, you could say, or my first student. In the past, I was smoking weed, drinking, and snorting pills by the time I was 14. And then my older brother got hooked on heroin, and I was peer pressured to try it. Literally tinfoil, straw, and lighter in hand, ready to smoke heroin. And by the grace of God, for some reason I had the strongest feeling not to do it. Like a hard no. And I chose not to, even though I was being peer pressured. And that saved my life. And later, down the road, my brother passed away, unfortunately, rest in peace. And I had this crossroads moment in my life where I was like, look, I'm either going to go down a path of self-destruction or I'm going to figure my shit out. So I transformed myself from a lazy, nihilistic stoner to a successful, abundant, and purpose-filled entrepreneur, but only after I learned how to rewire my self-image, which is what I'm going to be teaching you here today. So please do yourself a favor, pay attention to this video, write down your biggest takeaways in the comments. I'm going to drop some gold on you today, and I want you to experience the power of this information like myself and over 100 past students that I've shared it with. Now, you might be thinking, oh, is this just another one of those videos that's going to tell me to think positive or some other airy-fairy type of shit? No, this goes much deeper. This video is not about endless affirmations or wasting your time. It's about recognizing the subconscious programming that's actually driving your behavior and then systematically updating it with the right information and conscious intention. And in the process, helping you unlock the results that you know you're capable of, but you haven't been getting up until now. Hey family, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Chris. I earned my first million in business by the time I was 25, and now I'm documenting lessons learned on my way to earning $1 million a year doing what I love. On this channel, I share simple, proven strategies around mindset, productivity, business, and manifestation that have helped me and hundreds of other people win. So if you finally want to get out of your own way and start winning at the level that you know you're capable of, be sure to subscribe and stick around. So to start off this deep dive, I want to first answer a question that I often get. How do we know that our self-image is the problem? Well, here's a few examples. Someone decides they're going to get in shape, so they buy the gym membership, they buy the meal prep containers, the new workout clothes, and they're motivated as hell for like 2 weeks. But then what happens? They slowly start making excuses, they start missing workouts, maybe they order takeout, and within a month or two, they're right back to where they started or worse. Or maybe it's someone who's trying to build a business. They've taken that risk. You know, they've watched all the YouTube videos, they bought the courses, they set up their workspace, maybe they bought a website, and for a while they're grinding. Maybe they're posting content, they're reaching out to get new customers, but then they hit their first real obstacle or things get a little confusing and hard, and suddenly they're doom scrolling on social media instead of getting shit done. And they're telling themselves, it's all good, I'll start again tomorrow, or I'll figure it out later. But guess what? They probably don't. And another one of my favorite examples, there's those people out there who win the lottery and you're like, damn, they're set forever. Or like the athlete, the professional athlete that gets like $100 million contract or something crazy. And then guess what? They end up broke a handful of years later. And you're like, how did they fuck that up? And I could come up with a bunch of other examples as well, but we really are probably wondering when we see those things, and I definitely have, maybe you are, is like, what is going on there? Why do some people seem to naturally maintain success while other people can't even stick to a simple morning routine, or they blow up millions of dollars that they got for whatever reason? Is it their willpower? Is it their discipline? Did they have better genetics, or were they like gifted from their family? It's none of those things, actually, believe it or not. The difference between someone who creates lasting change and someone who stays stuck in these endless cycles of starting over, of self-sabotaging, and all that other bullshit comes down to the thing that I said earlier, their self-image. Who you think you are determines what you do, and then what you do determines what you have. It's that classic analogy, be, do, have. Who you believe you are dictates your state of being, which then influences the actions that you take or don't take, and therefore the results that you get or do not get. And most people are on the wrong side of that spectrum. They're trying to change what they have, the results they get. That's the wrong place to start. They're trying to change their actions. That's the wrong place to start, without changing their self-image first. But here's the thing, you're always going to act and receive in accordance with who you believe yourself to be. Your self-image, who you think you are, leads directly to, again, what you do and what you have. A poor person won't behave the same way as a wealthy person. An athlete will have a totally different set of thoughts and habits than a couch potato. And a successful entrepreneur, again, these are all labels, makes way different decisions than someone who sees themselves as just an employee. And here's the kicker. These labels that we place on ourselves have nothing to do with external circumstances. Someone being poor or someone being rich, as you noticed with the lottery winners or these professional athletes that go broke, has nothing to do with the money in their bank account. In fact, it's the other way around. They think of themselves as one way or the other, and then their external circumstances with time will eventually match. So you right now, you think of yourself as a certain person, a certain identity or image, and because of that, you then behave, or in other words, act in a way that matches that self-image, whether you're conscious of it or not. And you see, our self-image is the equivalent of something called a cybernetic instrument. So the best examples I could give of a cybernetic instrument would be the thermostat on your wall or the automatic pilot in an airplane. Its entire job is to eliminate deviations from the set target. So basically to stop anything that's not in alignment with its default settings. And that's why when things finally get going good, you might end up tripping yourself up without knowing why. Or on the opposite, maybe shit hits the fan and gets really rough for a minute, but things always tend to return to their baseline after a while. And the thing is what sets that baseline? It's your self-image. It's that cybernetic instrument. Your self-image is always going to keep you in line with its default settings. Just like the thermostat, if it gets hot, is going to turn on the air conditioner to cool it down, or if it gets too cold, it'll kick on the heater. And just like the plane, automatic pilot, it might be locked in on a destination, it gets slightly off course, it's going to bring itself back on track. So my question to you today is this: who do you think you're not? We try so hard to make these changes in our life, but we often fall short. And the real reason why is because we don't identify ourselves as that type of person yet. Here's a really crazy example. You don't steal money from your family for crack unless the person watching this is a crackhead, right? You won't wake up early to hit the gym unless you see yourself as a gym rat or, a meathead or whatever. And the thing is you'll never stop living paycheck to paycheck if you believe yourself to be someone who is broke. The crazy thing about reality and our own mind is that if you're committed to believing yourself to be a certain type of person, no matter what, you're going to do the things and have the results that that person would have. And that's also why in a minute we'll talk about environment. If you hang out around certain types of people, whether you believe yourself to be that type of person or not, you eventually will become them. If you hang around a barbershop long enough, pretty soon you're going to get a haircut. And this isn't a theory, it's a psychological principle. And here's a great example. It's like someone who's trying to quit smoking cigarettes. Now, for the sake of this analogy, let's assume there are two different types of people. We have this person here and this person here. This person, when offered a cigarette, says, man, I can't, I'm trying to quit smoking, right? This person, when offered a cigarette, they say, no thanks, I'm not a smoker. Who do you think out of these two is more likely to quit smoking cigarettes? The person who said, I'm trying to quit smoking, or the person who says, no thanks, I'm not even a smoker? Obviously, the one who doesn't identify themselves as a smoker. The one who's trying to quit cigarettes still believes himself to be a smoker. So I want to ask you some really direct questions, and then I'm going to break this down step by step for you. When you think about, let's say, getting in shape, do you see yourself as an athlete, or do you see yourself as someone who's just getting started working out? And when you think about money, do you see yourself as someone who's naturally good with finances or who's an abundant person? Or do you think of yourself as someone who's just not good with money or is broke? And when you think about, let's say, like starting a business, if that's your thing like me, do you begin to see yourself as an entrepreneur, or do you see yourself as someone who's probably not cut out for that kind of thing? I want you to be honest with yourself. And in reality, you don't even have to be. You just simply need to look at your results and the way you're acting, and that is going to tell you who you believe you're not. These internal labels you've given yourself are running your entire life behind the scenes. And that's where most people make the mistake. They try to force themselves to wake up early, but they don't believe themselves to be a morning person. They try to save money without seeing themselves as someone who's good with money. Or they try to build a business without even believing that they are an entrepreneur. But as we talked about, I'm going to cut to the chase, your behavior, results will always snap back to who you believe yourself to be. It's like if you try to hold a beach ball underwater, you can do it for a while, but eventually it's going to pop back up to the surface. Now, I just want to make this clear. I'm not saying that external circumstances don't matter at all, because I know there's probably going to be someone who's like, well, my situation's different, or what about people that grow up here or there or whatever. Look, those things do have a role, but just because some of us face different circumstances or challenges or have a different level of resources available to us, it only partially matters. At a certain point, we have to take responsibility for the story we're telling ourselves about who we are, because that story, regardless of our origin, is going to create everything else in our life. Like I said a second ago, your self-image is the thermostat for your life. It regulates what you allow yourself to achieve and maintain in your life, regardless of your external conditions or circumstances. So without addressing this one thing first, changes will rarely stick. By the way, before we hop in, if you're enjoying what I've said so far, be sure to check out the newsletter. You can join 1,400 or more other people reading my weekly letters down below. And I'm also offering a limited amount of one-on-one client spots this month, 5 to be exact. If you want help applying these strategies to improve your income and overall life, you can check that out down below. So let's dive into the first thing I want to talk about, which is become aware of your current self-image. Okay, so become aware of your current self-image. You can see here that I drew this person looking at themselves in the mirror. That's symbolic, right? It's like you got to look in the mirror to understand, what is my current self-image? Based on my life, my reality, what are the results I'm getting, and what do those things say about who I believe myself to be? The thing is that most people are completely unconscious of their programming or their, in this case, self-image. They're running completely on autopilot with a self-image that they didn't even choose. But here's how your mind actually works. There's a constant loop that's running in the background. And it's this. It's called point far. Your programming leads to your thoughts, which leads to your feelings, which leads to your actions, which leads to your results, which reinforces the program. In this case, your program is your self-image. So your self-image dictates the thoughts that you think, which lead to the feelings that you feel on a predominant basis, which then influence the actions you take, which then create the results that you receive, which only reinforce the program, or in this case, the self-image. And the problem is that most people's programming, or in this case, self-image, was installed into them through fear-based conditioning. Parents who told them, oh, money doesn't grow on trees, or we can't afford that. Teachers who said, oh, you're not book smart, or you're not going to amount to anything. Friends who called them crazy for having big dreams or trying to go for it. And overall, a society that says, be realistic and, oh, don't get your hopes up. And it's no wonder why most people are fucked up. So the first step in any transformation, really, whether it's self-image or otherwise, is awareness. You need to identify the story that you've been telling yourself about who you are. And again, the easiest way to do that is to look in the mirror. Look at your reality or your results. So a couple of things that I think will be incredibly helpful for you. First, you want to write down some of the labels that you've given yourself in the different areas of your life. And then once you've kind of done that, you want to ask yourself, like, look, where did these even come from in the first place? Did I give them to myself? Did I adopt them from other people? And then you want to notice just in your general thoughts and speech, when you think of things or say things like, oh, I'm not good at that, or I'm just not that type of person, and just kind of become aware overall of the stories that you either gave yourself or were given to you that you're playing on autopilot. And now that you're aware of your current self-image, the second step is to choose a new self-image. And for this one, we've got this version of you that's unhappy, and they're stepping into this other version of you that's magnetic, abundant, happy, kicking ass and taking names. But here's where I see most people mess this up. They try to make these like crazy changes overnight, and because of that, it's like a pendulum. It swings in one direction and then eventually back in the other direction because it's too big of a leap. It freaks them out too much internally. So instead, you need to kind of choose these labels that feel believable, but that still stretch you on the way to this new version of yourself. So if you've seen yourself as someone who's bad with money, maybe you can at least start to see yourself as someone who's improving their finances, right? In the process of. Maybe you're not like, oh, I'm this mega rich person, but I'm not this terrible with money type of person either. If you see yourself as someone who's out of shape, maybe you could start to see yourself as someone who's getting stronger and looking better every day. And if you see yourself as like, oh, I'm not entrepreneur material, maybe you could see yourself as someone who is building something big, right? Or building something for themselves. Like it's just these small baby steps at the very least. The key is to find a bridge for your self-image, something that feels true and doable, but that also moves you in the direction of who you ultimately want to become. So simple action items for this is choose one area of your life you want to change. Is that your wealth? Is that your relationships? Is that your health? Is it your happiness? And then again, from the first exercise, write down what you think is your current self-image in that area. And then create a simple bridge, a small shift in the identity in the positive direction that feels believable, but it's progressive. And then start to refer yourself with this self-image. And then step 3 is super simple. You just stack evidence. And for stack evidence, I've got these nice little check boxes here. So you're just checking boxes. You're celebrating small wins. So every time, let's say the area you picked is your health. Every time you go to the gym, bam, you stack some evidence. Every single time you eat a healthy meal, bam, you stack some evidence. It's super simple. Your mind is constantly looking for evidence to affirm its programming. And right now, you probably have 10, 20, 30, or 40 or more years of evidence supporting your old self-image. So you have to choose and start collecting new evidence in advance. Otherwise, you'll never break out of the pattern or the program of your old self-image. And you can do this again, one small action at a time. Every single time you do something that aligns with this new self-image or in the direction you're wanting to go as a person, you're casting a vote for yourself to say, I am that person. So if you want to see yourself as someone who's good with money, every time you check your bank account balance, bam, that's evidence. You're actually engaging with the process. If you want to see yourself as someone, again, who takes care of their body, every time you choose to not skip a workout, that's evidence. If you want to see yourself as a successful entrepreneur, every time you work on your business instead of watching Netflix, bam, there's evidence. And the best part, or maybe the beautiful thing about stacking evidence, is you don't need to be perfect. You just need more votes day after day for your new self-image than your old one. And the coolest part is that you choose what that evidence is, big or small. Make it small. Like celebrate the smallest shit, like the dumbest thing. Like, man, I woke up today and instead of scrolling on my phone, I went and I meditated. Boom, there's a vote. Like just these little things add up. So to make this super simple, maybe choose like 3 daily actions you can stick with that align with your new self-image. And then every day, do everything you can to celebrate those actions because they're proving you are who you say you are. And you could even keep like a little wins journal or do like a daily reflection or something. That helps you to keep track of that. But the real thing is focus on consistency, not perfection. You don't have to be perfect today. You just need to show up. And then the fourth thing that's been incredibly helpful for me is to change your environment and associations. So I've got a couple examples here. When I decided to start my new business in real estate years ago, I purposely chose to surround myself with the best people I could find in my area. And I still remember walking into a meeting one day and they're giving away awards for these top real estate agents. And there's a guy that I had met previously who that month had made $80,000. And by like February or March of that year was already over $250,000 earned for the year. Immediately, that raised what was possible for me. And I started to associate myself with those type of people. This is who I am because this is who I'm surrounding myself with. And the reason why is because your environment and your associations are constantly programming and affirming your self-image. The people you spend time with, the content or media that you consume, the places you go, they're all sending signals about who you are as a person to yourself. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, but you're constantly around people that are complaining about their jobs, that's probably not the people you want to be around. That's just going to keep you stuck in this employee mindset. If you want to be wealthy, but you're constantly in environments that reaffirm scarcity, well, guess what? You probably need to get out of that environment around people and environments that reinforce abundance. You basically need to immerse yourself in environments that support your new self-image. And so on this left side here, we got like these unhappy associations, right? Unhappy, broke. We're going to step into associations that are happy, wealthy, jacked, whatever it is, right? And the thing is, I wouldn't be a great teacher if I didn't practice what I preach. So a few weeks ago, I took action on this and I joined a new gym. But the thing is, I'm a human being just like you. So I had so many fears and excuses before I did. Oh, it's too far away. Everyone there is more fit than I am. What if they're douchebags? Like, all these like stories that come up to protect our old self-image, our ego. And man, I would have been missing out had I not taken action on that and joined it. I already, just being there for like 2 weeks now, feel different. And I'm seeing myself in a completely different way. So guess what? My results are showing. I'm leaner than I was a couple weeks ago. I'm bigger than I was a couple weeks ago. And most importantly, I'm more excited to do the actions that back up that identity, which is training each and every week. So if you want to change your environment and associations, here's a couple simple action steps. So your first action item, you want to audit your current environment and associations and ask yourself, what self-image are these things reinforcing? That could be your home, that could be in your relationships, that could be your work, anywhere. And once you kind of take a look at that, then like I did, you can join communities of people who embody your desired self-image. So I wanted to become more jacked again, more fit. So I went and put myself around people that match that. Another simple hack, consume content created by people who are living as your desired self-image, that have the traits and qualities or lifestyle or different things that you want for yourself. So you start to normalize that in your mind. And the most important one, remove or limit exposure to people and environments that reinforce your old self-image. So if you're trying not to be a crackhead anymore, don't go to the trap house. You know what I'm saying? And it's not about being fake or pretentious. This is about strategically designing environments and relationships that support who you're becoming. Now, I can't explain everything about this topic in this video unless we want it to be like 7 hours long. So as a bonus, here's a few books that have really helped me and taught me a lot of what I'm sharing with you here today. The first is Atomic Habits by James Clear. Awesome book. The second, Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. That'll teach you more about the self-image and cybernetic mechanisms like we talked about earlier. And I highly encourage you to dive into those. Let me know what your thoughts are if you happen to. So as we discussed today, your self-image is the invisible force that's controlling everything that's happening in your life and around you at this very moment. Who you believe yourself to be, or a better question is, who you believe yourself to not be, is going to directly lead to the actions you take and therefore the results that you create in your life. Stop trying to change the things that you're manifesting in the terms of your results. Stop trying to change your actions. Start going to the source, which is, as we talked about earlier, your programming or your self-image, pretty much the same thing. And that's when you're actually going to see the change and the new results in your life. Be sure to comment below your takeaways. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe if you found it valuable. Don't forget to join my newsletter in the description. Like I say, 1,400 other people get my deep dives every single week. I'm sure you'll enjoy them. And if you'd like to work with me one-on-one to break through your income ceiling, then you can check that out in the description below. All right, family, much love. I'll see you in the next one.